Getting hot in here.
America's burning. Maybe the world burning.
USA, USA, USA. All right. Yeah, you're listening to Transparency and Merit. A little bit of fire burning behind us here. Tonight, Brian and I'm Joe.
Yes.
We get into Balkanized USA. Maybe you
Yes.
can help explain that, because I'm not. When I hear that word, I start thinking like, this is a crazy man I'm talking to. Somebody who uses Balkanized in a casual conversation. I get worried about the mental health of the person talking. So, what does it mean?
Well, it means that America's going to go into hostile factions. I mean, we already have perhaps fanatics on both sides. People being very angry at one another, and there's been seems to be a lot of fanaticism on the left, and that may add to fanaticism then on the right to fight the fanatics on the left, and all hell may break loose. There's talk of a trucker strike, so the food supply may be less, and then a lot of Americans have bought guns, and there may be a lot of militias out there ready to do battle and maybe a form of guerrilla warfare to the left, and the right may do. I mean, the left has already done the same thing, and maybe the left will return fire. Because I've seen the left already doing the rioting and stuff. And I think the rumblings are around that the right may return fire and kind of do the same thing that the left has done.
Looking at Balkanize, the word Balkanize from 1914 comes from the definition to divide into small mutually hostile groups, was pulled from a political condition of the Balkans. It's said to have been coined by English editor James Lewis Garvin, but A.J. Toynbee in 1922 credited it to German socialists, describing the result of the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Either way, the reference is to the political situation in the Balkans from 1878 to 1913, when the European section of the Ottoman Empire split up into small warring nations. Balkanized and Balkanization both also are from 1920. Interesting.
Well, the thing of it is, Joe, we're seeing two sides, and neither one wants to concede. Now, one side has the backing of much of the establishment. The other side might have a large portion of the populace, and that large portion of the populace tends to own more firearms and guns, and they also are the ones that do the skilled labor, such as truck driving, and they may be the people that own the farms, or they're the linemen and stuff, or some of the construction workers. So they do a lot of supply of the food here. And there's just a large percentage of Americans, if they're pissed off, they can disrupt the food supply into our major cities. And that could be an issue.
We have a new website. You might want to check it out. It's called transparencyandmerit.com. Go in there and sign your name up. I'll be having newsletters. You don't have to pay for anything, but go in there and check it out. There is a paid feature though. I'll throw that in there. But definitely go in and sign up at least, and then you can get involved in the conversation over there. We have a chat board. We have that I'd like to get going there. And we're selling a few things. I'll get into that another time though. But yeah, check out transparencyandmerit.com.
Yes.
Station break there. Got to get it out there. And today is its first full day active. We've already got some, we got about, not many, but we got a bunch of unique visits today. So that's a sign. I'm going to check this out here. What were we talking about before we started today? We were getting into I don't know.
Well, we were getting into the balkanization and the fact that Americans are very divided. And look, I'm an angry I am an angry person.
Oh, you were talking about Civil War. That's what you're getting into. That's where I'm. Okay, well, I think we're headed towards a situation. I really believe this. I believe that there is a good chance we're going to have Trump for another 4 years, and that may sound strange, as all the news is reporting that this is over, said, and done.
Well, I mean, I honestly don't know whether it's going to be said and done or exactly what's going to happen.
The Supreme Court did some interesting stuff this year, and I think it works out. And I'm not no expert at this, but I think they stated that the votes must match the representatives of the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, why would that have to be stated? I think it was kind of, I think people are a little unclear on how the Electoral College actually works.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel from the head down that this is, there's a scam afoot, and I'm pretty sure that when we vote, and this is controversial, but there's a lot of people that talk about them. I'm not the only one, but your vote's not much more than it's like being polled, because I think that the Electoral College has the final say, regardless of the popular vote. But there's still a lot of room for argument there. I think a lot of people see it another way. I think they turned it into some kind of mathematical equation with all these states that are having difficulties with their counting. That I think that when a state, if a candidate wins a state, then he wins all the electoral colleges for that state automatically. I think it's how it works. I could be corrected.
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just seems like a strange, mathematical thing that always kind of turns out in the way that where the Electoral College has the final say. But I'm no expert. I'm as apolitical as it gets in a lot of ways.
You know what I mean? I would to me, I wish I could be apolitical, but the number one issue for me is censorship. Um, Freedom of speech is, to me, the best thing that keeps a civilized society respects people's right to free expression. I mean, there are always things within reason, but I have never seen an attack like this before, ever.
Yeah, it's a straight up barrage. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a hailstorm. There's so much going on.
And I'll tell you something, Joe. It feels like the internet feels like we're in somebody else's house, and we have to walk on eggshells and watch what we say, while other spoiled children can do whatever the hell they want. And I, for one, am absolutely sick of it.
And you should be. You should be sick of it, dude. Here's maybe an article I'd like to read. Let's see. Give me a second here to clear up my monitor. I've got everything up. Where is all this stuff? By the way, our phone lines are open. 310-668-1969 is the number. Who would you like to talk to tonight, Brian?
If I could talk to anybody, it would be Susan Wojcicki.
Yeah.
I would love to ask her a few questions. And I'd also love to talk to people who've interviewed Susan Wojcicki who are into this hate speech kick. And it does seem like it is the mainstream media that is in favor of this, and I've been pissed off about it. That the mainstream media is not held to task on this, and that does really anger me. You know, I'm not a happy camper.
It's time for the Transparency Report.
All right. It is time for the Transparency Report. And let's see. I just pulled up an article here. Let's see if there's anything worth talking about here. I guess this is in Lahore, in India. Speaking in a press conference after his visit to the Lahore High Court Bar Association, Mr. Afridi, Justice Qazi Faz Isa, was known for being an independent and upright judge, as his integrity was beyond a shadow of a doubt. He also called for transparency and merit in the process for the appointment of Superior Court judges. Now, that just seems like something that could be a common phrase in politics. It should be.
Yeah. How much, where's the transparency, and then where's the merit? And the thing is, if you really don't have transparency with your argument, then where's the merit? And really the transparency comes through debate, because your opposition has to be able to ask questions, and that's really not done today as much as it can be, particularly by the left. The left makes statements, and there's no debate about them. And people are so afraid because the media controls so much that they have become kind of afraid to get things out there, and that's one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why I think we need transparency and merit. You know what I mean? We may have our opinions, but we welcome vigorous and respectful debate, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people are so biased that they don't want to hear from the other side. I would say, on average, that's less true on the left. I mean, on the right than it is on the left. The left tends to be censorious and want to lecture and does not want to debate. That's just my opinion.
Tim Haves says, I never get political with people much, but I rather would have Trump win 4 years over Biden. Yeah, I think a lot of people think that. I think it's kind of strange. Even in California, I'm hard pressed to find many Biden supporters. And that says a lot. I mean, if you take away the teachers, so I'm sorry to say that, but most teachers, I think, that are vocal about it are going to be pro Biden. Just seems in my experience that's kind of how it's gone. But other than that, outside of that, I've seen a lot of support for either Trump or neither.
You know what I mean? I know both. Most of the people who are Biden supporters basically hate Trump, and most of the Trump supporters, they love Trump. They love Trump, and the Biden supporters basically hate Trump. They don't love Biden; they just hate Trump.
Well, look at that. We got a phone call. Our first ever.
Yeah.
Hello. You're on with Brian and Joe. What's going on?
I just wanted to point out one thing to MMM. And I don't mean to fucking throw the guy under the bus every time I call him, but
yes, you do that a lot.
Yes. I'd say he's an expert at it.
Yes. I am, by the way. You're making if we ever play our game, you're making me much more angry, and maybe I will be like there to basically just like when I have the ball in my hands and I'm dribbling, I may just run you right over hard.
This might be the perfect night to call Brian. He sounds very upset about something, and
he's upset me, and I will steamroll you. I'll almost stiff arm you.
I just want to say anything now because I didn't realize he was retarded until I just fucking heard what he just said. And he could have the goddamn retarded muscular strength, go snapping on my fucking net, playing outside the ruse, whatever. I just want to point out to your retarded friend one thing he said. All he's doing literally is bitching about the internet. Oh, Facebook's going to block me, and they're going to censor this, and they're goddamn racist. I tell you what, MMM, you fucking retard. I know you can't marry because of your goddamn retardness legally, but check this shit out. What have you just assumed?
Listen, man, you're 400 pounds of nothing. 400. Show your face. I've heard that you are 400 pounds. Sir, you are 400 pounds and you're in a wheelchair. Fuck you.
You'll be a racist.
You are in a fucking wheelchair. You have fucking nerve. You're in a wheelchair, buddy. You're 400-pound wheelchair. You can't use your knees anymore. Your knees are shot. Your knees are shot. You're pounds of bullshit.
He's totally snapped.
Goddamn internet war.
You live in Alaska and you collect welfare and fish like a seal son of a bitch.
I hate my fucking bib. Good Lord. Don't you gotta do yourself a favor? Go see the fucking
You eat nothing but beer-batted fish and drink all day.
What the fuck going on?
Okay.
Enough.
All
I
right.
want sumo.
Like a seal pig. You need to find your clubber. Okay, enough. I'm sorry.
A nice shout out for sumo wrestling tonight.
Yes.
I'm so sorry that that unfortunately sometimes we don't do a stoic, calm episode, and it's just.
Well, I'm not going to be stoked with a person who calls me a retard and calls me names, particularly someone he's upset because he's 400 pounds.
Next time, just tell me to hang up. I can't read your mind. Sometimes I hang up and you want to hear it out. Sometimes I leave them on.
I welcome honest and legitimate debate, not from a 400-pound person that loves being angry. Beer-batted fish is too much. So, yes, Windy Whoppers tear down this wall.
The great Wendy Whoppers.
Yeah. I did react. Political Woodstock, I did react, and I was upset. But you know what? I'm just reacting to someone who acted towards me in a vicious manner, and I returned the favor. It's called tit for tat, people. Grow up. All right. So I do think that there is a possibility of the Balkanization in a nation and things going to rather hostile and violent factions. People are very angry. Violence seems to be happening. And,
you did say at the beginning of the show you were very angry.
You know what? I'll tell you something, Joe. I have been extremely angry. I went on my local Facebook page, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see.
What happened?
I mentioned the grooming gangs in England, and I guess it may have nothing to do with our city, but I think these leftists, these self-righteous people. But someone just said, Brian is back and doing what you asked we don't do. And then someone said, it would be nice if you tried to keep it somewhat relevant to our city. Otherwise, it becomes everyone's sharing dumping ground. And hold on a second here. Jesus. I mean, this guy is the quintessential we're becoming balkanized kind of thing. Wait, did he? Okay. And I'm going back. Hold on, folks, while I just... I asked him, do you keep these rules for everyone? I am wrong. Am I wrong to think in the thinking that I'm being singled out? Oh, my connection's lost.
No, I hear you fine.
No, but my whatchamacallit just got lost. But he said the bar is really low. If you wish to have a discussion about something with our city neighbors, then say so. The forum or discourse, just at least make some argument for why it's relevant. And then he said, wait. And then he said, I mean, that is a racist meme. Wasn't even created for the U.S. market. And wait a minute. Let me see if I can get back online here. Here we go.
It's a local website that you're on, and you're talking to people in your area. Is I guess what you're saying here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yes, I said, so I pointed out. So is pointing the grooming gang problem in the UK racist? Is showing their mugshots racist? What's racist about it, sir? For all I know, those are random people Facebook photos with some context. Maybe the content isn't, but the apparent intent and the effect of the meme sure as hell is. And I said, perhaps you have more compassion in your heart for the grooming gangs than the victims of the grooming gangs. And then he says, do you even know what the story is about yourself? It is dark shit. And no, I have zero compassion for them. The girls in the pictures happen to be actresses from a BBC series. And it was a BBC series from drugs, but the grooming gang people are real. But in the context of randomly posting it to a group of people who have no context or clue what it is, it comes across as rather racist, just like the original meme was designed to incite racism. What exactly was your intention with posting this?
You're a race baiter. You should have answered. You're a race baiter.
No, I'm not. Stop putting words in my mouth. You
should have told him the truth.
Okay. I have read and seen enough to believe the anti-racist left exacerbated this problem and made it worse. Do you ask anyone else these questions? And then he says, I ask people whatever questions I like, just like everyone else in this group. It does. Is it a free speech zone? Though you were into that. I thought you were into that sort of thing. Just so I'm clear, you are saying people being against racism exacerbates gangs in the UK, grooming young girls for sex trafficking. And I said, fair enough. I've had a chip on my shoulder with regards to the anti-racist left. I have felt that way ever since Tawana Brawley. Only they have become more myopic with less empathy. That was an answer to your first question. To the answer to your second question, the manner in which the left weaponized racial justice, yes, very much so. In fact, I consider what they did to be an act of treason to the British people. And then he said, what is BTW? What is that short for? BTW. What is that abbreviation short for? Okay.
By the way,
I have never deleted a single post from this group. I simply occasionally ask people to try to keep it somewhat our city related, or at least say something about what you post to make it clear why it should be discussed in our community.
You just made a racial comment out of the blue, just randomly in a civilized local conversation.
First of all, these people are all a bunch of social justice warriors,
right?
Who make it their point to. One of them posted, Trump supporters never like something. I don't even want to get to. I'll show you some of the posts. These.
Well, why didn't you say that? That sounds more reasonable.
Well,
or at least something to the, a nice way of putting that may have been, there are other points of views out here in our city.
Related to
Instead, you danced around it with a race story.
something about what you post to make it clear. Why should it be discussed in our community? As I said before, if a signal to noise ratio gets too high, then there isn't any point in having the group. And I asked him, do as you wish, but self-righteous hubris is not noble. And he said, so far, I have only kicked people from the group for using fake names, identities, not actually being part of our city community, or threatening violence. There are no hard and fast rules, but is my fiefdom,
Yes.
and all are allowed to plead their case. If things get out of hand, mostly I just ignore the group though, and things work out all right, or horribly depending on your view. My self-righteous hubris has no more hubris than my hubris has self-righteousness. Thank you very much, and I plan to keep it that way.
Wow.
I said, I do thank you for crossing intellectual swords with me. I do have a chip on my shoulder when it comes to the woke cancel culture left. This asshole comes.
All right. Is this Willie again? Who's speaking?
Say again.
Oh, it's not
This
Willie.
is Angela.
How are you, Angela?
Well, I'm wondering why you're being so oversensitive about comments. I don't get that. You see my page, how they go after each other.
Are you gonna
If I
report
can
our?
handle that, you can handle that little squibble.
Are you gonna report our page because you disagree with Brian's anger?
No, you guys aren't talking about my family, so I'll disregard your comment there.
Okay.
Wait, I want to get to this, guys. This anti-racist left, as opposed to what? The pro-racist right? You are a joke. No, you obviously are exacerbating the problem, starting with your racist ass post. And then I said, anti-racist left is pro racist right. How about pro-grooming gang left versus anti-grooming gang right? Perhaps. These myopic statements have no end. And he said, yeah, that's not a thing either. And I say, says who? And then he says, everyone, it's something you just made up in your head. Take your pills.
Wow, they're firing off a lot of missiles at you.
And I said, I take a red pill every day. Perhaps you should do the same. And then Bennett and this dude, you know, it was Tommy Robinson who was found in contempt of court, nearly ruining the whole case, right? You make it seem like nothing was done about this because the anti-racist left covered it up. There was indeed a trial before you go and blame the left for shit. Maybe you should take a look at your side too. And then I said, many on the woke left saw those girls as acceptable collateral damage. This kind of thing is universal amongst the left. The grooming amongst the left. The grooming of the British girls went on for years, by the way. And then he said, you are really projecting a lot. You obviously don't know what the left thinks, so stop speaking for others. You're not doing what you think you're doing. And then he says, every time you try and silence me, it's proof of my point.
It doesn't even sound mean.
I mean, everyone's coming at Brian though here, just because he was a little out of context. But then when we're given more context, I think they just didn't understand where you were coming from, and that could really, for some people that are engaged in a one-way street conversation, to finally have somebody drive past them, everybody's going to stare at you, and that sounds like what's going on here.
Wait, no, okay. He says you free to keep scream. You're a Nazi, and we can point and laugh at the idiot.
Now, the Nazis are from Maryland. You need to let him know that you're not from Maryland.
What makes me a Nazi? I bet you can't see past your own nose with all that self-righteous nonsense. And then I put a little thing, hello, my name is Narcissist. And he said, look at your posts. You belong to some sort of hate group. We see you. I belong to no hate group or love group.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to protect your own kind, we're under attack. It's plain and simple.
Now, by the way, have you got the video yet of you being twerked off the road?
Well, that's with an attorney, and there
God
are.
damn it, we want that video.
Well,
We need the video, okay?
no, really, the attorney has it, and they have a plan. That's all I can say.
All right. So can you explain again? I didn't hear the story. Brian told me, but what happened?
All right. As you know, I've been documenting at the national headquarters of the Ku Klux Klan in Arkansas. So
Yes.
I decided, since they're going to have some protesters try to protest against the Klan, I guess I need to back up. They were going to protest in the township, I would say, of Zinc, which I don't even think it amounts to 100 people. Very small. The headquarters or the church of the Ku Klux Klan is outside the city limits of Zinc, which is really outside of Harrison, Arkansas. A lot of people call it the most racist city in the nation, and it's not. But so there's these protesters who don't know what they're doing, by the way. It reminded me of some of the people in Seattle. They were very aggressive. I was documenting because it was in a public space. I could. And somebody, she's a white supremacist, because I said I had spoken with the militia. There was about 300 people with guns. This was a very, very volatile situation. The militia had guns, and the protesters, these peaceful people, come to the protest with AK-47s, a flamethrower, and they had threatened to burn down the city of Zinc. Mind you, it's only a little under 100 people. It's very small and poor. So it was very volatile. At the moment someone said I was a white supremacist, they didn't know who I was. That's why they said that. I got shoved in front of a oncoming truck, but it slowed down and I was able to get out. And then I continued to document. Next thing I know, this woman with a foul-smelling butt is twerking back to me and on me, and I pushed her off of me.
You're joking.
She did assault, but her butt was on like my midsection, and then they were threatening to slam the camera into the ground. It really was aggressive. They were grabbing my wrists. They were taunting me, doing a Karen chant. And these people don't even know who I am. It was nuts. So because of all that, the attorney for the Ku Klux Klan now has that video.
We need to see that. I want to see getting
it can't
twerked.
be released because it would be considered evidence.
No, I understand that.
And
I'm just saying
really want it too.
for educational purposes, we would like to share that at the earliest point. Maybe you can.
Because that is an issue that and we are against violence and twerking. So now she twerked on you. Was she a fat woman?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
She was a big woman with a big hiney.
And you can probably
like
smell
some
it.
women have a big hiney. And and the umbrellas, I forgot about that. They opened up probably 7 or 8 umbrellas. These people encircled me. I couldn't go anywhere. When I say they're very aggressive, it's like that white wall that they talk about. If there's a black activist or a minority activist, and they yell white wall, and then they go around that person. And that's exactly what they did. They took tactics from Seattle, Antifa tactics. These are Antifa tactics. And but thankfully, the guy who had the flamethrower didn't know how to put it together, so he couldn't have fired it off if he wanted to. But it was emotional. I mean, that was, I've never been treated like that when I'm documenting. And if you looked at my Facebook wall, you would have seen a lot of documentations of protests and marches. And
we wanted to see twerking.
Can we get do you have any pictures of the big butted woman who twerked you off the road?
I have people's videos of it, like from their phones. But seriously, that's considered evidence. I think what they're doing is targeting some key problem activists because they're saying they're peaceful. And this made it to Frontline, by the way, the activists. And this one guy, he barely got his GED. He's a convicted felon, and he's not that smart. Because I tried to warn him not to come because they had, beyond Zinc is a gravel road, like a country gravel road. And before you got to the compound, I don't know how many tons of turkey manure that they had, but they put it on the road. So if they were going to march up to the compound, they would have to literally walk through manure. I mean, that was bizarre, very bizarre. And I don't know. Then what's that of the South? The League of the South showed up a few weeks later.
That's a small town war right there when you bring out the turkey poop.
Yeah, well, the farmers offered to do this for the church. Their biggest thing on that compound is the church, and the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, he's a pastor, Pastor Thomas Robb. And having heard him preach, he can preach well. He knows the mechanics of preaching, and I've never heard him say the N-word. I've never heard him talk of violence, other than talking about uniting and helping each other, loving your own kind. A lot of it's common sense. Even once they really protected me, I thought they would talk more freely, and they didn't. Now, when the League of the South came, that was a different story. They were, they're under they have some lawsuits in North Carolina over assault and I forget what all. But they are a violent group, and the leader of that is Dr. Hill of League of the South. And when I stayed there, it pushed my mind a little bit. I stayed there for like 3 or 4 days, and the League of the South was there. And backing up to the protest, they had so many guys on their premises of the church area. I mean, all of them were militia. They were hiding in the hills. If you can imagine, Zinc is kind of in a valley, and there's hills on either side. There were so many people. They were locked and loaded because there were sincere threats of burning down this little town. Matter of fact, the FBI was in the fire station and a SWAT team. Because after the protesters left, I saw them come out, which I have documentation that's with the attorney.
Right.
So,
okay, Brian. Brian, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
That's primarily about YouTube. You are
All right.
reaching out here because you are mentioned in it, but this is not an article.
I am the title.
This is an article about YouTube policy.
No, this is an article about me in the title. It'd be like saying Oliver Twist mentions Oliver.
What are we watching here? Wait, I'm sorry. You know what?
That's you.
Oh, hold on a second.
Hi, I'm trying to reach Jessica Cohen, editor-in-chief at Mashable.
Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell was going on. I apologize. You know, it does seem like what I'm hearing. I mean, like the militia groups aren't near here, but they are in other parts of the country, and they're very angry. The hard right is very, very angry. And I mean, like all bullshit aside, there are talks that they will disrupt the food distribution of this country.
Yeah, I see a point here. The militia is different. Like in Arkansas, they have about 3 or 4 different organized militia groups. And each militia group is different. The one that was there was very respectful. And they were standing in front of houses to protect the houses. But, I mean, there's some really angry people out there that are prone to violence. And not every angry person is prone to violence. And just because you're angry doesn't mean you're violent. You know, Brian, did you see on my Facebook when I talked about Antifa and how they jumped on me? Because I said it is an organization because I had met people in Tulsa. I think you guys might remember me talking about that.
By the way, I put that in my Facebook page too, and they basically said, I'm anti-fascist, aren't you? It's like ridiculous, and that's the one thing about the left that I really, they don't recognize their fanatics.
Well, power of language is important, and people need to start paying attention to it again. You know, when I put on there that Antifa, at least in Tulsa, was organized, I mean, I had attorneys jumping on me, you know, local attorneys. And then they flagged the main leader of Antifa in Tulsa. Like, you know, tagged her. That's it. They tagged her. I'm like, yeah, I remember that name. I'm thinking in my head. I met her. You know, and when I met this group of Antifa people, they were talking, well, I take the minutes. Why would you take minutes of a group that's not organized? You know, when they have their meetings, she takes the minutes. That denotes that something is organized. You know, most groups that meet, you know, just casual groups, they don't take minutes of the meeting.
Well, anybody can volunteer to take minutes. That's no big deal. That certainly is no indicator a meeting's organized.
Well, no, there was other people there, too, that were talking about what they did for the group. It really was an organized group. Now, I don't know if this is true in every city, but in Tulsa, it was true. And I was talking about my experience, and they're telling me, your experience was wrong, basically. Brian, you read some of the comments. Do you remember?
I put the thing in the Antifa thing in my Facebook group, and I was attacked. Not as bad as the British grooming gangs, but I was attacked.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
By the way, Joey.
Yeah, the world is crazy right now.
Yes.
I'm tweeting to you right now. I hope you get this tweet. I called it Money Cat, but it is important to the conversation about love and money. And I hope if you can get to your Twitter. I don't know if it will post yet, but it's something that maybe you should see. I'm just guessing.
Well, should the show see it?
Yes, the show should see it.
Well,
What is tweet focused on again, Brian?
What's that?
What is your tweet focused on?
Well, I'll show it in a second.
Yeah, you'll show it in a second. I want it to be kind of a surprise for everyone. I can't necessarily describe it. It's more of a looking thing.
Oh boy. Here. Oh man, sending it here is not the best way to do it.
Did you know? It's called Money Cat. Cat money or money cat? I don't know if you want to post it. Money cat. Very important, Joey. Very important. Very important, Joey. Very important.
I have a feeling it's going to be very important, so we'll play it.
There we go. Okay. Exactly with the sound.
That's great, though. One more time. All right.
Now, you don't like cats very much, do you, Joey?
I am allergic to cats, but they're beautiful, and I like playing with them when I can. There's some hypoallergenic cats that I could hold and be around, but most will kill me within minutes.
Yeah, that fur.
It's good for people that have allergies.
So it's me or them.
Do you like, Angela, do you like cats?
Yeah.
No, I like cats too, but I like dogs more.
Well, my cat and the dog that we have, she actually kills snakes. She likes to kill snakes. She's not a normal cat.
Anyway, guys,
All right,
I am getting rather tired. I'm getting tired.
Let's finish this. We're done.
What?
Go to the
Question?
website, transparencyandmerit.com. Check it out. Any last words, Angela?
Question? Yes, I want to talk about the Civil War that the Trumpsters are talking about. They're using false information to try to get these lawsuits through on the supposed illegal counts. You know, I'm getting really pissed off, you know, that he hasn't conceded, because he should. There's no ground for him saying that it was unfair. You know, how do you guys feel on that issue, I guess, briefly?
I think, you know what, every legal vote has to count. And, I mean, as much as can happen. And if that doesn't happen, there's going to be it's going to get nasty.
There's a lot of problems with this voting. There's something scandalous in every
voting.
There's something scandalous in every vote that's happened in America for president. But you know, this is awful. It's blatant, and it's misreported by all the news. All the news channels are reporting the same thing, that Biden won when the votes haven't all been tallied. There's problems.
Now, the military votes, they take a week to tally if they're, you know, on site somewhere else. But their votes are counted.
And
you know, there's a system in every state. Go ahead.
And tell me why they had problems counting in Nevada of all states. Give me a break. Okay, Brian, is that it? Are we done?
That's why.
No, I'm ready to go to bed. I'm kind of tired right now, so yeah.
All right. Thanks, Angela.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me on.
Later days. All right. So we are done.
Yeah.
And
guys, like and subscribe, all right?
Yeah, like and subscribe. I like the phone calls tonight. Very good.